And we are back. Yay.
Yay!
Episode.
How exciting! Why don't you sound any more excited?
Oh, come on, let's do that again. We are back.
Yay! We're back, full throttle, summer 2023, baby. Oh,
We're
it's
ready.
August.
And summer.
Yeah.
Because it was midsummer. Yeah, we're back. We're back. We're a bit rusty, I think, because we haven't recorded since June.
Yes.
And it's been, and we don't have any guests today. So you will just have to tolerate me and Simo
Yes.
figuring
We
out getting back
apologize.
on track. For nobody, but it's good. So we had a summer vacation. What were you up to this summer?
Yes. So in Finland, the country basically dies down in July because everybody takes their annual vacation then, because that's the one good month we have. You'd think that global warming would have reached us, but it was actually a pretty cold July. I think it was really rainy. We barely hit over 25 degrees just a couple of times. But it was really lovely. I was supposed to work on upcoming simmer courses all summer, but I didn't. I am in a I think we're in a luxurious position right now that we can actually take a month off. I mean, of course, we did some work, but yeah, I was just way too swept up with hanging out with the kids and swimming in lakes and going to the sauna and just enjoying the summer as you should in Finland. But yeah, a
That's
super
really
relaxing
cool.
summer. Yeah, just the kind of I don't know. I don't want to twist the knife in anybody's wounds anymore. But it was very very nice to not work for a month, at least not put. And I think that you didn't have this luxury.
No, man, I had like a major surgery last month, as you
Yeah,
know, and I'm still recovering from it. And
yeah,
yeah, I just celebrated as a true Romanian with work, which
nice.
is just it's fine. I mean, the here it has been like a heat wave, so for the
Yeah,
last
the whole
month
southern
it's been
Europe, I think, and
it's
the
so bad.
southeast. Yeah,
45 degrees, 42, 43 is it's unbearable. Even now I have a fan that's on silent mode, so for
yeah,
anyone hearing a weird hissing sound, it's my fan, but it's hot at hot. And but it's cool. It's good that you had time to disconnect. And I mean,
yeah,
you have to at some point. We're not robots. I
yeah.
plan to take some time off in October. I know it's a weird choice, but in October I'm planning to take some time off.
That's good.
I'm gonna go to Stockholm in October, so like every time I go to Stockholm, it's just like it's a vacation for me. So
So
I'll take that as a
you're doing measure camp there.
yes. I'm doing Measure
Okay.
Camp Stockholm, but before I'm gonna be in Copenhagen. I'm doing this masterclass about retention with Yomar and brand leadership community. It's
Okay.
funny because you can take the COV out of the lady, but you can, or I messed that up. But like I have to go back. They really wanted this
Yeah.
workshop on customer retention, so I plan to take the train from Copenhagen to Stockholm
Yeah, that's really
because I
nice.
want to see the country, yeah, and just like have some time to space out. And I think it's like 6 hours
Yeah.
from Copenhagen to Stockholm. So like I'm just planning to like just
Did
you
you
know
did you ever watch the I don't know if you get this in Romania, but did you ever watch the Danish TV series called The Bridge?
no.
So I have to just caveat here that Denmark makes the best TV shows. Like they have like their publicly funded radio. We have one in Finland as well, and it makes decent media, like decent TV and radio. But Denmark is on another level, and they made all these TV shows like The Killing. They made The
Mm.
Bridge, and then they made one about like their government um, and everything. But The Bridge is about this. It's like a detective series about a body that is found on the bridge that you would go over when you go from Copenhagen to Sweden. And the body is
Oh
found
shit.
like half of it is in Sweden, half of it is in Copenhagen, so it becomes like a mixed jurisdiction thing. It's a really really good series. But every time somebody says they're going to take the road from Copenhagen to Stockholm, I always think about that they're going to drive over the bridge. And the bridge is so amazing. You see it when you land on the plane. You
Yeah,
basically,
yeah.
if you come from Finland, you basically land
You
over
can
the
see it
bridge.
also. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. But anyway, the train, it's going to be a nice train journey. Southern Sweden is just amazing. It's such a beautiful countryside. So that's going to be pretty cool. Something to look
Yeah,
forward to.
that's the only thing. Yeah, that's the only thing I have going on for me right now.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's fine. Like I fixed a lot of things this summer, especially like if you have teeth issues, go to the dentist in time. Don't be like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
because or don't go to measure camp and and cancel your dentist appointment. Remember, because we actually, I remember I was supposed to go to the dentist earlier, and I told you that I canceled it to go to
Yeah.
to Copenhagen. It was a bad idea,
Yeah.
Steen Rasmussen. It was a really bad idea. So I will never do that shit again.
Yeah. Yeah. You
So
always want
that's,
to, yeah, health first. Like that's just such a simple thing to forget.
but it's been so cool not to travel anywhere for the last two
Yeah.
months because
No
I
kidding.
overdid it. Oh my God, like it's so good not to have to go anywhere and just chill with your family.
Yeah.
And I really, really appreciate it. And I start to like get, like kind of this fatigue with going to these conferences.
Yeah.
Like it's cool and I like it. But like staying away from the kids is really like messing with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. It
So
is.
like
It's tough.
unless you can fix it in one day,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
that's why I'm
Romania
trying to.
is, yeah, probably pretty tough to do a 1 day journey from
It's so hard,
Bucharest to
yeah.
anywhere.
I've been thinking about moving to a Nordics country, so who knows? I mean, probably not Finland because I heard shit has changed there a bit.
What do you
Because
mean?
with your new government, because like
Oh,
there's,
right. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's still pretty mild when it comes to the right wing governments of Europe or even republics of the US. It's still pretty mild. But yeah, I mean, we have that going for us right now. That's bullshit.
yeah, but that's one of my things. Probably Stockholm or Helsinki. I'm really
Yeah.
thinking, like, really, I've been talking to my family and really reconsidering relocating there because
Yeah.
it's just better. Like it's just better, and also health for children is just
Yeah.
better. So that's what I've been thinking about this summer.
It's the Nordic dream. It's good for, if you're a white person. It's a great country to live in.
Yeah, my
Unfortunately,
my
that's how
my
it is.
poor husband, my poor husband. Yeah, he asked me like my husband was the first thing. Are there black people in Finland? I was like, yes, they
Yeah.
are. I
Yeah. Of course
promise
there
you, I've
is.
seen them. I've seen them.
Yeah. Of course there are, but the kind of the especially now with the new government in place, and we have this one party that's just like they have so much baggage, and they've always been in opposition because no, they don't want anybody to dig that baggage. But now that they're in the cabinet, like every single week something new comes up, and they're just this this full blown racist piece of shit group of people, kind of like Finns first, true Finns, I think is what they prefer to be called. But it's like this,
Vikings.
wizards versus muggles BS about pure bloods and everything. It's just, so it's tough watching the headlines right now, and we have a completely malfunctioning government because they can't pull together out of all these crises. So we're still waiting to see what happens. But I think relocating is always interesting. We actually considered, well, we've considered relocating a couple of times, mainly to, at first it was for Copenhagen because that's always been
Mm,
like a city that if I if you ask me right now where would you go if you could go anywhere, I would probably say Copenhagen. But last time we were there, I forgot how ridiculously expensive it is. Like it's I always thought that Helsinki is expensive, but Copenhagen is like way beyond that. So
it
I'm
is.
not not a fan of Copenhagen anymore. I had to pay like 20 euros for coffee and pastry. It's not a good look. But
That
Stockholm
breakfast, yeah,
is,
was ridiculous.
yeah,
That
it
breakfast at the
was,
hotel,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
ridiculously expensive. I
But
know.
yeah, but yeah, Stockholm is our all-time favorite city for family trips. Also because it's so easy to get to Stockholm from Helsinki. It's an overnight ferry, but it's, yeah,
And it's cheaper in my opinion than both Helsinki and Copenhagen. Like I really
maybe,
found very cheap stuff in Stockholm. And
yeah,
when I say that to people there, they're like, "No, that's not right. That's not true." I was like, "You don't know what it is to be a Romanian and come with calculate money in this country. It's like
yeah.
y'all too, y'all too expensive."
Anyway,
Oh
so
my god!
something major happened in July in our little industry. Of course, we got the
Yes,
Universal Analytics was finally given the boot, and we're now stuck with GA4. What are your thoughts on that?
I actually somebody just messaged me today that I used to work for to ask me to look at their GA4 property. So I opened it earlier, and it was just like they were just moved. Like it's unreal what happens with
Yeah,
goals being moved to conversion events, and it's and they're still sending messages that we're just gonna move your property. Somehow
oh
I'm
man,
happy that most of my work these days is in other tools, but you have to deal with it. And I had that LinkedIn live where we said goodbye to Universal Analytics when you were at the concert having more fun
hmm,
than me. I think you were at the Gojira concert.
Yeah, I was at
Then
the Tuska Heavy Metal Festival in Helsinki. Yeah, definitely.
that's how you celebrate it. See?
Yes. I don't think it couldn't have been further in the back of my mind at that time.
Yeah, yeah, and it's cool. I mean, the same. They're trying, I guess, to push the product further. Everyone, like I was expecting people to shut up about it. They didn't. It's just still the
Mm.
same, circus on social media. But yeah, like that's kind of what my thoughts are. Just a lot of properties just got moved from UA to GA4 because people didn't do much to set them up. So I've seen so many cases of friends of mine that just simply deleted the property instead of fixing it and just starting one from scratch
Yeah.
because of how it was moved. And that's kind of what I see it from where I am. But what about yourself?
Well, I mean, I'm very happy that the switch happened, because we
Yeah,
can now avoid the kind of fear mongering that Google and some of the advocates did about the update, that you have to do it now, you have to do it, you have to do it. So I'm happy that's over. I'm still kind of we still, I mean, Universal Analytics is still there. You can still go to it in the user interface, and if you have
yeah,
360, you're still accessing all that data. So it's still lurking in the background, and I think that people are still going to be unfavorably comparing the two, which is
yep.
understandable. But it's also, why would you do that to yourself? Like, why would you waste your time comparing and like wallowing in grief and just wasting energy on that because nothing's going to change it anymore? Like, there were so many people saying, "Oh, Google's going to push back the deadline." Of course, they're going to push back. Well, they didn't. So now
It was
there's
probably the
it's
first
not
time they
maybe,
did
but
it.
it's just it's not coming back, and
Yeah,
I kind of really wish that the public discussion would finally move to a place where we're not constantly comparing the two. Because to be honest, like, did you see Krista Seiden did a poll on Twitter from
mm-mm.
SEOs? Okay, so she did a poll specifically asking about, from SEO, search engine optimization people, what do you think about GA4? And there was like, I love it, I somewhat like it, I somewhat dislike it, I hate it. And of course, like, it was less than 50% said hate it. So it was like 45% said hate it, but combine that with the somewhat did not like it, was like 70+%. So,
Damn.
and the comments were like very telling. People were just amazed that that tool exists and Google ever released it and so on. It does go to show two things. One is, you should never ask anything from the SEO community, because you only get these like super
Responses.
polarized, everything is absolutely terrible or everything is just wonderful. You don't get like nuance there. And the other thing is that it's, if you're using GA4 and you really, really hate it, and I'm not saying all the SEOs are using it, but those who are, if you're using it and you really, really hate it, maybe just perhaps it's time to switch to something else. Like, why are you doing this to yourself? If you're using the free tool, it's not like your budget is stuck with it. It's not like you're
Yeah,
contracting Google for it. Piwik, Amplitude, they've all released great migration paths from GA to their tools. You can
and
get UA
Snowplow
function.
right now.
Yes, Snowplow as well with their digital analytics offering. Like, you can get universal analytics back pretty easily. Like, the functionality that was there. There are so many tools for that. So I really wish the complainers who just complain, and again, I'm not saying that the people who answer that poll are just complaining for the sake of complaining, but those who
Yeah,
are just complaining, um, like, why are you doing that to yourself? Like, I've never understood. And summer for me, like July has always been for me the one month where I really reevaluate my employment options, because when you're swimming in a lake and looking at a clear sky and there's a sauna waiting for you, maybe a cold beer on the pier, it's very difficult to not amplify all the crap that you might return to in the fall, like all the any even smallest negative thing about your employment. Um, for me, becomes amplified 1,000 times when I'm enjoying myself. So now what I'm thinking about, and I hate to say this, but GA4 has a lot of those things that I'm just amplifying in my mind. Like, it's a good tool. I still use it. I use it with BigQuery. I enjoy working with it. But it's the little things that became amplified 1,000 times in my mind over the summer. And now I'm really, really adamant that it's very unlikely that I'll work with GA4 in a professional capacity, at least for the next year. It's very unlikely that I'll do anything. So I'm happy that I made that, but I made that decision because I don't want to be stuck in a place that makes me unhappy. But I mean, I'm using GA4 with Simmer, for example, so we do use it as an analytics tool, but don't ask me for consultation regarding
Yeah,
GA4, for
yeah, yeah.
example. So it's just
No, I agree. I
that was a
agree.
long
And
rant, long
no,
rant to
no.
counter all the other rants.
I mean, the good part is that they listened to what you were mentioning with Krista, and they did this
Yeah,
academy, the GA4 academy, and
yeah,
I love to see Krista back there because she's awesome, and
yeah,
she always had like a very simple way to explain things,
yeah,
and everyone can
sure.
understand. So that's like a step further, in my opinion. But I'm just glad that I'm not doing the architect job
Mm,
anymore, so I don't have to see GA4 that much. I still have to use it for tests. And even that, like I like this is actually a cool topic to discuss afterwards. But for my own website, I'm using Pivot Pro
yeah,
because I don't want to deal with, and it's also from a privacy perspective. So that's why I prefer to use Pivot Pro. um, I'm not collecting shit on my website, so I don't have nothing. But the only thing that happens is when people comment, they comment with their names. Can stop them from
mm,
commenting and using their names and putting it out there. But like, yeah, I don't want to. But I do have a lot of friends that don't afford to work with an agency and just like message me like, "Hey, can you just look at my setup?" And then I'm like, I cannot help myself and try to
yeah,
fix it. But it's like so problematic that even for me right now it's just I'm just glad that I have to deal with other problems. And speaking
yeah.
of, one of the biggest questions that come lately, which I don't know how to answer, so why is my data about my test data after doing an A/B test different in GA4, different in UA, and different in the testing tool? And my answer is like, whoa. It's like, okay, uh consent mode, maybe hyper
Mm,
log. Like, it's so many, like all these questions that come in experimentation right now. And I was running this privacy, running is too much to say, I was co-hosting this privacy panel with Kelly Wharton
mm,
last week, and we had Shivan over and Fosca
mm,
Fiamini. I hope I didn't butcher her name because I'm good at that. And we're talking about the future of privacy in experimentation. But like, there's questions that, and I know you know this better than me, but like, how do you answer these questions? Like, what somebody should look at? Should we look at the testing tool for the data? Should we look at GA4 for the data? Should we look at the consent management platform and try
mm.
to reverse engineer the fucking data? Like, it's so hard right now to actually trust it.
Yeah.
What do you
Just
think about this?
use whichever platform gives you the most favorable answer. Of course. Like if GA4 tells you that your conversion rate just shoots up with a significance of that it's an absolutely significant result, and if UA is ambivalent, then you use GA4, of course. Like why complicate matters? Like
Right?
all these tools are all like tool comparison, man. You could write a book about that. It's just so futile. And I understand that people are wondering, well, UA and GA4 are by the same company and the same teams are working. Of
Yeah.
course, they should be comparable. Same with BigQuery and GA4. They should be comparable. Well, no, they shouldn't. Like
It's the whole
there's absolutely no rule or law in the world that determines that data collected to disparate ingestion systems should be comparable. Like you need to the thing that you need to like what should happen. They don't need to be comparable, but they should be consistent. So
Yeah.
if GA4 is collecting plus 20% stuff compared to UA, it has to do that consistently. Because if it's plus 20% today and plus 5% tomorrow and minus 15 to the day after, then there's something messed up. Then it's definitely sounds like a deployment issue. Because if it's not a deployment issue, then we've been working with broken platforms for the last 25 years.
Such a
But
great point.
it just has to be consistent. And that's how I always approach. Like I've written a lot about measurement protocol, but I hate it. Like I hate that it exists because it invites people to expect that the analytics tools that we use are somehow mirroring reality, and they should mirror reality. So they expect that GA4 should show an accurate revenue. They expect that Universal Analytics shows an accurate number of transactions, when we know for a fact that that's not how the world works. People use ad blockers. There are bugs. There are network issues that prevent these. So what happens is that people start using measurement protocols so that at least they'll get the transactions back. But why do you want transactions back when all the other data from these users are missing? So then you're
Yeah.
just going to have, a bunch of users who only have a single transaction because they've used an ad blocker for all the rest. How in the world will that make your data set better? All your metrics are going to be messed up because you have these isolated like hits. So it's the same thing. This happens because you're comparing GA4 to another thing, which in this case would be reality or your backend systems. It just makes no sense. Ideally, you would calculate what the discrepancy is. What is your expected range of difference between GA4 and reality? Let's say it's 20%. So that's your calibration. Then week in, week out after that, you make sure that the 20% stays at 20%, because then you can make the same, then you can make your optimization, then you can work with your data set. It's still going to be somewhat representative, especially if you have a lot of data. You don't have to fix that 20%. It's just how the world works. So
I love it.
it's a frustrating topic because I always, and this just totally was amplified and totally got out of hand in the 5-6 months leading to the GA4 switch, because people were comparing and they were comparing like crazy. And I understand that you'd expect UA and GA4 to be similar, and I understand that you expect GA4 and BigQuery to be similar, but they just won't. And
But it
it's
just
it's
can't.
super expensive and it's super frustrating to try to understand why they're not similar, because Google isn't forthcoming in this at all, or B, trying to fix them so that they are similar. So that's my philosophy there. I would prefer that people just choose a reality in a way and stick with that, and not mess things up and not kind of mess up their minds when they're trying to figure out which one is the truth, because there is no truth. It's all relative. It's all
Yeah.
relative. Even reality is relative. Right? This is getting deep shit stuff, but it is. You have to pick a path and you have to stick with that.
But no, this is a great point. Consistency. Like, how many times this happen? Is it consistent over time? I'm
Yeah.
gonna use this. This is actually a great point. I didn't think about this. But what you're saying, because people think that Google owns this product, so the data has to be the same. In the same paradigm, the three A/B testing tools that were
Yeah.
announced that are falling into the same one, because the questions that we deal with now are, why is my data in Optimizely not the same as in GA4? And my answer is like, because it's a different tool.
Yes.
you know
Yes. Yes.
but that's it. And I just find myself telling people, just look in your A/B testing tool for your
Mm.
A/B testing results.
I think
Just
that's a good
skip.
idea.
That's all I say. And it can be a lot of things. It can be a measure of things that happen. And one funny thing from the privacy part, because I
Mm.
know this is something more of you than me. I just like am privacy adjacent. Like, I know how to survive. One funny thing, I was in a training for this tool. They were talking about how it was implemented. And it was a funny thing at some point that I really want to know your thoughts. They had the feature that was blocking the consent management platform. And they were suggesting, okay, you should put this tag very high up in the page. So I was like, high where? Because I have to ask for like the highest on the page. And I was like, well, that's the consent management
Mm.
platform. No, but you can use this feature to block the consent management platform so our tool runs, but we're not collecting any data before consent is expressed. And this is pissing me off. Like, and I was talking to Matt Gershaw about this, and he was saying like this is a lot of technical depth, because A/B testing tools are shadowing the CMP tools for a lot of time. So basically, I'm asking myself, like, why would you mess with the consent management platform? Because those tags affect everything that fires on the page. Like, your consent status will make sure that
Mm.
tags fire or don't. And I just feel like, the industry with A/B testing is going a bit backwards with this consenting. So
Yeah.
what are your thoughts?
Well, this does bring us to a broader discussion about consent, and the kind
Yes.
of how everything is now revolving around that. And if, like, I know there are people who are going to disagree with this, but if you're not actually in violation, if you're not doing something that requires consent, then you can ignore that. And I think that if you have an algorithm running on the page that chooses what kind of variation to show 50% of users, you can do that without consent. It's when you need to write that variation in browser storage, for example, that you need to invoke the e-privacy directive, and then you do need consent. Or if you are using GA for collecting that data, because then you
Mm.
are piggybacking on the client ID, which would again be personal data and would require a legal basis under GDPR. But A/B testing itself, like I think it's fine, totally fine to have that happen on the very top of the page. Like if you're literally blocking the CMP just to have your test run so that you can have better results, well, then it's of course BS. Like then you're not doing the right thing. This opens up a can of worms, and I think that just to preserve time, we're not going to go too far into it. But I've been an advisor to a couple of companies working in the content management space, and one of them is currently implementing TCF, the Transparency and
What is
Consent
this here?
Framework. It's the Transparency and Consent Framework standard by IAB, so the what is it, International Advertising Bureau or something. So it's
Okay.
their attempt to create a standardized model for consent collection, and they've been like in EU regulators' teeth for a long time. But it's still a standard that exists and that some CMPs implement. It's basically a way to display purposes and vendors and then give consent vendor by vendor by vendor. And that's pretty cool. The
Yeah.
downside is that all of these consents are stored in a so-called TCF consent string, which is personal
Mm.
information. So it becomes this chicken and the egg problem of, can a consent management platform also be a data collection platform? But anyway, that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that I looked at the consent dialogue that had the TCF stuff in it. And it was like for every single vendor, there's a description of what the vendor does, and then there's a toggle for on or off. And I thought, wow, this is pretty transparent. I can finally make an informed opinion.
Yeah.
But can I? I mean, there's like 5,000 words of text to read in the consent dialogue. Who will ever browse through that? And then, yeah, now I know everything. Now I can make an informed decision. So consent, and this is by far from an original idea, but this notion of rolling all the responsibility to the user, the casual website visitor, for making a decision on whether their data will be used in these potentially huge data harvesting, data brokering, purpose limitation, whatever schemes. And just by pressing yes or no is the decision. How is that informed? So this
Yeah.
whole idea that consent, and Facebook rolled back. I think that they just removed legitimate interest. So now they're actually asking for consent as an advertiser, saying that this is now a better way to do it. Well, I'm not sure if it is a better way to do it. I'm just sure that consent is even consent is the solution. So, Shofan and others are just so much more well versed in this world. But from a layman's perspective or a layperson's perspective, looking at those consent dialogues and expecting me to make an informed choice that will impact potentially for years to come how my data is being peddled between
Yeah.
those big tech vendors, I think that's worrying. I think something's broken along the way. Constant just seems to be giving them a free reign to do what they want. We went so far from the A/B testing question, but I just had to get that out
No,
of my
but
chest.
it's the reality that we're living right now,
Yeah.
and I see like, now that we finally calmed the fuck down with UA and GA4
Mhm.
conference. I mean, we didn't, but it's better than it used to
Yeah.
be. At least we don't have those pushy shits going on social media. I think right now the conversations that are gonna start to emerge are gonna be very much into this world of consent
Yeah.
and privacy, and because you cannot do what you were doing anymore. And I see it from an A/B testing perspective because this is where I'm
Yeah.
sitting today. So funny enough, for some clients, I'm still using Google Optimize as much as I can. I'm squeezing
Yeah.
that in, and Universal Analytics 360. So I'm still using that right now. I actually kind of like got used to it. I know that's funny because I haven't used it before, but I've been using it in the last year. And those behavior reports, I'm gonna miss those because life
The
it was
behavior
easier.
flow stuff. Oh
No,
God,
and
yeah.
and no, and the weighted bounce rate. That was the cool
Oh
one
yeah.
when you can look at landing pages, but with weighted bounce rate, and you can see, like which. I'm gonna miss those reports.
Have you found the animated moving chart things where you can
No,
actually watch the evolution of a graph? It's a motion chart.
no,
I
I haven't.
once
You need to show me where to go
Yeah,
for
I'll
it.
show you. I once started working on a Chrome extension, which never actually panned out because it was those motion charts are written with some weird embedded language. But I wanted to create a Chrome extension that when you click the motion chart to start playing, it will like drop a disco ball and start doing like because the motion charts are it's like almost like art. It's like disco art, because you'll see this, your users going up, then they're going down, then they're going up, then they're going down,
That's
then
cool.
they're. It's really really cool. Yeah, but they're the most useless charts in the world, but they're in Universal Analytics, and I
I have
really really
never
miss them.
seen those. Yeah, you
Yeah,
should show me where to find them because I
yeah, I'll
want to
find
look for
them. I'll
them now.
figure it out. Yeah.
But talking about that, so because we're back, we're gonna have some. We're gonna start recording with the guests. Thankfully, for everyone listening from the next time, who are we gonna have this season, Simo? Who are we inviting this season?
Oh, well, we all mentioned Krista Seiden, so we have to get her on. I do. It's going to be interesting to talk about education with her, because obviously she
Oh
has her
yeah,
own biz, but now she's again in a deep pact with the devil, working with Google again with those videos. So that's going to be interesting. Um, and now I'm drawing a blank. Who else have we talked with?
we're
Help me
gonna
with.
have Kelly Wortham. We're
Yes,
gonna have Jordan from Snowplow.
yes,
We're gonna have Miles Younger. That
yes.
he used to be at Media Monks, but now he works in advertising and for you from digital. I think it's his company. It's ad tech people. We never had an ad tech person. We have to take
Ew.
Miles.
Got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have to take Miles. We will not have the rider for him. But yeah, really cool episode. Really cool episodes coming
Yes.
up, and excited for that. But now, before see, because we did this like this, I didn't have time for your. We didn't have time for your ad.
Oh,
So
right.
I have the same song that I used the last time because I have to admit that I
That's
didn't
very
look
lazy
for.
production, but it's okay. It was summer.
So, it was summer, so
I'll
let's
try to
see.
remember what I said, so I'll say the exact same thing as well. Why do we even do this? Why don't we just record something and just paste it on every single one?
It's okay because I can put no, because it's more
No,
fun
no, of
like this.
course,
Like
yes, of course,
people
yeah, and
need
I
to
have some new
listen to
stuff.
us.
Yeah, I have some
Oh,
new
let's
stuff for
go.
sure.
So what's new?
Or it's not. It's not okay. Wow. Yes. There's actually another heavy metal festival in Helsinki tomorrow that I'm going to, so that's very timely. So
That's very cool.
yeah, so at Simmer, well, I mean, nothing specifically new, but I am almost done with the videos for the new server-side tagging course. And I wanted to mention that because people have been asking, if you're already enrolled in the server-side tagging course, you will have access to the new course as well automatically. And you'll have access to the old course. So there's going to be a new course, but you'll have access to the old course and all of its materials too. So it's like 2 times the goodness. Whereas if you only enroll into the new course, you won't have access to the old stuff. So there's an incentive for you to enroll into server-side tagging before I release the new one, which is going to be, if I say 1 month from now, I'm going to be in deep trouble. So I'm going to say it's going to be within 2 months, hopefully. And then we are working on the technical marketing kind of guide. I think our latest iteration of the name is Technical Marketing 101, but it could also be Technical Marketing Handbook. It's going to be a completely different part of the site, and it's a kind of a different education experience. And we will most likely turn it into kind of a freemium model, so all the content will be free, but we're going to include some exercises, some community access certificates, and those are only going to be available if you pay a very modest, much less than our normal courses cost. So they'll be available then, and we are working on that as well. Hopefully, we'll get it out before the end of the year. But that has been an absolute blast to work on, mostly because we're working on content that's going to be distributed for free, and that's always the best kind of content to work on. Whenever there's a price tag attached, it's it's just not that fun to work on that kind of content, at least for me. So a lot of cool stuff going on, but it's going to be a somewhat quiet rest of the year. There's not going to be an entire new course. Most likely there won't be an entire new course coming out this year, but next year we'll hit the ground running and have some new stuff for
I'm
sure.
really excited about technical marketing one-on-one. Like that's gonna be so cool. I've been every fan of your work is probably waiting on that, and I know that we're doing the podcast together. But the Juliana that was doing the technical marketing mini degree last year,
Yeah.
she's very happy that you're releasing this,
Well, I
and
mean, and it's building on stuff that other people have already done, and you've already got the technical marketing guide on your blog as well, which is a really useful resource. So I'm definitely going to steal a lot of stuff from that and not give you any credit, as I always do. But it is,
it's fine. I will
no,
use this part
no,
of the video. I'll use this part of the video when you promote it.
cue
Well,
evil
actually,
laughter. Yeah, I'll make
You'll be
it
like
easy
this.
for you. I'll even send you. I'll even do like a public LinkedIn post where I'll show exactly what parts I stole, just to make it easier for people. No, of course I'll whenever yeah, I'm just being brutally honest here, but of course I will give credit where credit is due. And your guide is amazing, so
Thank
hopefully these
you.
two will complement each other
Yeah,
and help.
I'm excited
Yeah,
to plug it on the
yeah,
blog, which I haven't wrote anything for in a long time. The last thing I wrote was actually written by my friend Adrian,
yeah.
which fixes the issue with campaign tracking in BigQuery within the gclead parameter,
Okay.
which is a. Let's not even start with that
No, no.
because we
Let's
will
end on a
never
high
finish
note.
this.
No.
But if you want to buy the current server side course, you can use the code deviate
Oh yes, I
for
forgot that.
10%.
Yes.
There you go. See, go.
Yes, you can use the code Deviate, that's Deviate, to get 10% off your purchase. And with the new website, this is also been confusing to some. We do have built in discounts. So if you ever buy 3 or more items in one go, you get a 15% discount. If you ever buy 6 or more, you get 20% off. And you can buy, it's easier to buy multiples now. So if you want to buy something for your entire team, we've made it a lot easier. So just check that website at teamsim.com. A lot of new stuff there. I haven't published anything in the Team Simmer blog since May, so I also have to do something with that. My own blogging has been really so I'm waiting for a couple of features for GA4 and for server side GTM. I've written all the articles and they're all ready, but they just keep pushing those back.
Yeah.
So it's just it's so now I've been doing these filler articles like the GA4 letter, and then I wrote one personal blog post as well.
But that was so cute. I
Yeah,
like
but
that
it's
one.
I love writing that stuff, but I have to be honest, I write them on the last day of the month just so that my streak of
I know. Your reminder.
of months where I since 2013 there's still not a single month that I haven't released a blog post. So I have to get something out by the last day of the month. And it takes me like 15 minutes to write those, but it's funny to see how much they resonate with people. I used to write a lot more personal stuff on the blog, but then I got one blog comment. I was very sensitive back then. I got one blog comment from somebody who said like, enough with your ego tripping, and then I just stopped writing those. I never published that comment. It just really got under my skin because it was a
Well,
very personal
whoever
blog
wrote
post.
it,
Oh, they were an
whoever
asshole
wrote
for
it.
sure. But yeah, it's yeah. Now I'm kind of switching back to it because it is a personal blog, so I can choose whatever I want
It's
to
your
write.
blog.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
people resonate because, we all go through all sorts of
Yeah,
stuff, and it's good to take a break from
for
dealing
sure.
with the bullshit that we deal with every day and just like read something real. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, cool. Well, then next time we'll see everyone with the guest,
hopefully.
and hopefully, yeah.
We have to
And this
ask
is
those
got
guys. We just listed a bunch of people. We actually have to ask them.
we didn't
Yeah,
talk
so
to
there's going
any
to be Barack Obama, Serena Williams. We'll
Beyonce.
have we'll have Beyonce again. Again, we already had her once, but we lost the recording. So yeah, it's going to be a good 2023.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gotta be fun. Next year we'll only do like very high level people, like
Yes.
like the
Yes.
ones we mentioned.
Yeah.
Would be
For
cool. It
sure.
would be cool to interview like rock band members, and
Oh
that would be a
yeah,
total
about their
different.
analytics like GA4. Like what does Eddie Vedder think about GA4? I want to ask him. Like how much did his life change when they deprecated UI? I think he'd have some opinions about that.
You might. It depends.
Yeah, maybe.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for listening. We're back,
Yes.
as you can see, unhinged as ever, and
Yes.
and we'll see you guys next time.
Yes. Take care. Bye bye.